Hey guys, welcome to the channel. In today's video, today I thought I would highlight the difference between hand polishing and tumbling rocks. Now that I have the ability to do both, I thought I would just share kind of the results that I've had. As you already know, uh, I don't have the most elegant setup for tumble or for hand polishing rocks. I I just have a Um, I just have a $60 tile saw that you can pick up from any big box store or any online retailer. I've got a bench grinder that I modified into basically a flat lap using a drill chuck and polishing pads. And they're all sitting in a lapidary cabinet I made from scratch myself, mostly pallet wood and a tote from a hardware store. It takes me a little bit to get a stone worked. I don't know. I've never worked with a Cab King, but maybe those who have Cab Kings can be a little faster with it. So when I give the estimates of time on how long it took me to hand polish things, it's all an estimate because I work in large batches. Because when I cut things, I tend to cut, 5, 6 rocks at a time, and then I tend to rough cut the cabs into shape, and I usually do 8 to 15 cabs at a time for polishing just because I have to work each stage individually, so it's just easier to do large batches. Um, so usually it takes me, I think I calculated about 4 minutes to get a stone down to a rough cab, and then it takes another 8 minutes to polish. So you're looking, if we're talking time from rough stone to hand polished cabochon, it takes about 12 minutes each one, as best as I can figure. And then it takes me about 15 minutes on average. I mean, sometimes it'll take me longer, and sometimes I can get the time down to 10 minutes or something to wire wrap a piece of cabochon. I like to get paid $20 per hour as a craftsman. I mean, because I'm not really, I don't really have income tax coming out of it. There are taxes, of course, but I don't have the heavy taxes like I would at work, so I can cut down what I would make. And this is a hobby, so I just use $20 because it's an easy number. It's easy to calculate, easy to figure out. Like a quarter hour is $5. So when you figure 12 minutes to polish and then another 15 minutes to wrap, it's about a half hour to finish it. So $10 in labor per pendant I make. And then, of course, you have the material costs that go into it. And whatever stone you're using, obviously the price is going to go up or down. As opposed to tumbling. Tumbling is something that's new to me, and if you just watched my tumbling for profit video, I think with fire quartz, which is what I'm basing this video on, is all that fire quartz again. The time it takes to tumble those, I had a 5 pound bag of the fire quartz, and I think I calculated by the time I was done, I had an hour and 40 minutes in the entire batch of fire quartz. The 5 pound bag was finished up, and I ended up with 103 nodules. It would have been 104 if I hadn't taken one to hand work it. I calculated that with material and labor costs, it was about 60 cents per stone. So as opposed to on the handwork side, where I would have been about $4 a stone to hand work it, if you're considering the time it takes. It's way cheaper to polish a stone by tumbling it than it is to hand work it, which is kind of makes sense. It's not kind of a no-brainer on there, but I just wanted to highlight the cost difference, and so you could get an idea if you're a jewelry maker and stone to jewelry, then you can get an idea of which process works for you and which one would be better. As far as the end results, hand working a stone into a cabochon allows for a flat back. So if you're talking like if you mainly make pendants, it's way easier to work with a cabochon. There's a reason they're always in ovular shapes, or typically an oval shape, or round, or something very similar. Easy to work with. It has a flat back. It's easy to wrap the wire around. Whereas opposed to if you tumble a rock, you're gonna get roughly whatever shape the rock was when it went in. So you're going to end up with something that's a little more round, doesn't have quite the hard angle on the edges that you need to catch wire. And if you've ever tried to hand wrap a stone, the rounder it gets, the harder it is to wrap. So that's also a consideration when you're working with, between the two. So hand polishing can take a little longer, but you're going to end up with a shape and the style of the stone that you like. You're going to be able to highlight the features that you like. Whereas tumbling, you get what you get. It's up to you which way you want to run, but of course, but it also depends on your material cost. And as far as looks, obviously cabochons, you can pick the size you want also, and the tumbler, you're going to get whatever it comes out on the other side, depending on the level you want to polish to. If you want a perfectly smooth glass finish on the stone, obviously it's going to be much smaller than it went in. If you want a little rougher, a little one with little texture to it, and maybe a few holes, then you're going to have a pretty good sized nodule. So you have to consider those into it, and then about time to take. So the time it takes versus the cost. So if you're like a new jewelry crafter and you're looking for different setups, that's just something to consider, whether you want to go with the rock tumbler route or your own little flat lap homemade jobby, or if you can afford the Cab King, by all means go for that. I mean, that makes life just simple and easy. But if you're looking for something economical, it's hard to beat a rock tumbler. They're cheap to run, the grit's cheap to put in them, and you get wonderful stones out the other side, and you can kind of pick through, paw through, and decide what you want to wrap, and people still love it. Of course, the bigger the stone gets, the heavier it gets, and the more it drags on people's necks, so there's that to consider too. Well, yeah, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, just hit that like button for me, would you, and let me know. That means a lot to me, especially for this small channel, and I hope this was helpful, informative, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.